Marketing research is our next area of study. Here's a general agenda for marketing research. So we're going to look at data sources, research types, and research methods. Let's look at this in a little more depth. So data sources, essentially it boils down to internal and external. So data, when we talk about data, we're looking for information that helps us make decisions regarding markets, business in general. Okay, so internal sources are sales, or salespeople might be a source of information, or people that work for us. But it's information that we already possess or have direct access to. Okay, and it would also include methods of collection that are internal to us. Okay, like sales, for example, historical data in that sense. External sources are just that. They're outside the company. We don't own them, but we can access them. And it might not be more expensive, but it's just they're external to the organization. So just two general ways to look at that. Research types, there's primary research and secondary. Okay, and again, this is very general. Primary research is that kind of research that is new, specific. It's sort of like buying a tailored suit coat or tailored clothes that are made to order for the exact questions that you want answered, okay, or for the exact body in the tailoring example. But primary is just that primary. It's new research. It may not be new to the world, but it's specific and new to the organization and the questions that you want answered. Secondary is just that. It's already been collected, or it's research that's already been done. Now, there's advantages and disadvantages to both of these. For example, secondary is great because it already exists. You can access it right away. Primary needs a little time, okay, because you got to commission the study. You got to go through all the steps of making that happen and reporting it and so on and so forth. So the kind of it boils down to a lot of times is how accurate or how specific does the information have to be, because primary is going to be more expensive but more specific. Secondary is going to be less expensive but more general, so you're going to have to interpret it more. So those are the two general types of research. Research methods, again, this is a very simplified example, but essentially what you want to do, and this is probably the hardest but most important part, is define the problem and objectives of the research. What are you trying to find out? And you want to be really specific about this and spend some real clear time coming up with the definition of what you're trying to solve or what question you have, because you want to look at root causes and not symptoms necessarily. So this takes some real expert opinion and observations. You don't just let anybody do market research typically. They tend to be specialists. Determine the methods. How are you going to gather the data? How are you going to get the questions answered? Survey, observation. There's a tremendous amount of different methods out there. And you may have participated in these. For example, you might have been part of a focus group, say. Next is the collection of data. And that would be running the process to get the information, the survey, the focus group, and so on. And then the last, and these questions are statistically analyzed and must be statistically significant, and you want to make sure that you're researching the target market. It's specific. These are specific questions for specific answers. But anyway, you want to analyze the data and then report the findings. So showing data in a usable format so that it's not just raw numbers, it's called data visualization, where you present your findings in a clear method so that the interpretation of them is very straightforward, or as straightforward as they need to be. But as you might guess, I mean, if you've ever gone to two different doctors, you might get two different answers from the same data sets. Okay, so there's interpretation is the kind of the key element here. This is why, again, you want real experts working on these types of things, and why it's so important that you're defining the problem and objectives very specifically and carefully. This is an interesting study. I think you'll really enjoy this.